It's one thing that someone is honestly struggling and doing their best, and once in a while they fail. That's a different case. Struggle better, seek effective, counsel and assistance and guidance about what to do. But if you aren't even trying, then your marriage is not going to work, because it's going to blow up in your face in one way or the other. Same if you can't, lower your gaze, if you can't stop having emotional infidelity, because zina is not just zina of that's physical. There's also emotional zina. When you think of other people, right? And this is, and people who write about marriage say one of the key causes of marital breakdown is what they refer to as emotional infidelity. And trust you me, if you look at what marriage experts, secular, non-religious, non-conservative marriage experts talk about emotional infidelity and how to avoid it, if Shaykh Faraz told you, they mentioned there's 10 ways to avoid emotional infidelity at work. If Shaykh Faraz told you these 10 principles related to gender interaction, you say, why is he being so hyper-conservative? Right? And there's a men's lifestyle magazine called iVillage. It's not conservative and it's not religious. And please don't go to the website unless you turn off your images, right, on your browser. If you look for 10 ways to avoid emotional infidelity at work, and the guidance they give, the tips they give you, is actually more conservative than what the ulama mention about gender interaction. Keep it strictly business. Avoid all physical contact. Right? Avoid repeated interaction. Don't interact with the person alone without other people present. Right? And on and on and on. And these things, if you can't work on them before you get married, they won't go away with marriage, and they will cause your marriage to go away. Right? And it's a serious, serious issue. So you have to work on yourself. Similarly, other things, right? And so you have to look at, and we can't detail all of them, but when you read these books about marriage, don't just read them as casual reading. It's not like reading The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. They say, oh, interesting, oh, wow. Oh, and then they entered they entered the Shire again. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, cool, it's done. Right? It's not like that. When you read religious guidance, it should serve as a mirror in which you look at yourself and see what is it that you're lacking. And you have to work on it. And if there's serious things that are lacking, then you have to work on yourself before you get married. This applies both for brothers and sisters, right? And so that's the second consideration. Like, look at yourself and where you are at. One of my relatives, who happens to actually run a marriage service, assisting Imam Majid, who is Imam Majid Haj Ali, one of the top scholars we have in North America, Sudanese. And Abrar Ansari, he's saying, he's a management consultant. He actually helps people diagram their strengths and weaknesses. He has this very interesting kind of chart. But he admitted that you could just do it by just listing the things that need to work on. But he has a very sophisticated way. He even shows how to diagram it in 3D using Excel or whatever. I said, Jazakallah khair, most people won't do this. But this is what, you have to really look at where you are at. That's the second thing. The third thing is then consider what you're looking for in a spouse. Right? And a lot can be said about that. But there's a dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that the righteous make. Right? That the righteous make. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا. It says, وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. And those who say, and this, in description of the righteous, رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. That, oh Allah, grant us from our spouses and our offspring a joy for our eyes. Right? A coolness for our eyes, i.e. true joy. Right? وَجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. And make us of the foremost of the righteous. What are you supposed to be doing in this life? Right? If you're trying to be a good Muslim, by the standards of, those who have standards, you're a loser. Like, to put it bluntly, you put it normally diplomatically, but honestly, you're a loser. If you just want to be a good Muslim, why? Because Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, verily Allah loves high matters and He dislikes paltry matters. If you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for paradise, ask for Jannat al-Firdaus, the highest of paradise. It would be against the sunnah to say, oh Allah, once you've punished all those of belief who are worthy of punishment due to their sins, make me the last person who gets out of hell. Take me out by my toenail and find me a corner in paradise where I'll just squeeze in and I'll be happy, oh Allah. No, despite how miserable you may be in your conduct and character and practice and worship, ask Allah for the highest of paradise, right? You seek excellence. What do true believers ask? وَجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Make us of the foremost of the people of taqwa. Right? Taqwa is the highest of human virtues, right? When it comes to being of those beloved to Allah. And we don't just say وَجْعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Just make us of the people of taqwa. No, make us the foremost of the people of taqwa. An imam is someone who is worthy of emulation. Right? And that's what you ask, not just for yourself, but for your spouse and for the children and for your offspring, your children. Right? So if this is what you're seeking for yourself, right? You want to be of the foremost, because you want to be beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what are the qualities of someone who's beloved to Allah? ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. Verily, the elect of Allah, the chosen of Allah, those beloved to Allah, the friends of God, are those, they have no, لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. They have no fear, nor shall they grieve. What are their qualities? الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. Those who have faith and piety and taqwa. Right? So you ask Allah to be the foremost of the people of faith and taqwa. And you ask Allah that you make your spouse the foremost of the people of faith and taqwa. And that you want to raise children who are of the foremost of the people of faith and taqwa. So that's what you're seeking. Then why are you marrying that girl who's got the looks of Kim Kardashian, but also her akhlaq? You're not going to get children who are of the foremost of the people of taqwa, and you're going to get yourself in trouble. So you married this guy because he's a doctor and mashallah he's really handsome, and even sometimes not even really handsome, he's got a nice smile. Right? One sister got, after marriage, she said, can I refuse to move in with my husband until he loses 60 pounds? I just said, I don't know. It's too complicated. I don't know what. Maybe he's 360 pounds and, whatever. So I just said, ask a local scholar, please. Right? But, people make very bad choices. And who's to blame? Right? At the end of the day, you made the decision or you accepted whoever's choice that was made. So look carefully that if this is what you're supposed to be seeking, consider what you need. And the most important criteria are the religious criteria, while the worldly criteria are not denied. But be careful about those worldly criteria. One of the great spiritual masters of the 20th century, Shaykh Abdurrahman al-Shaghuri, he says, كم من متزوج وجها جميلا وآفته في فيه تراه بعد مدة يدندن آه وإيه. Right? That how many a person who marries a pretty face, whose trouble is in their tongue, after a while you see them moaning, oh, and ooh, right? They're just overwhelmed, right? They married a pretty face, a beautiful woman, a handsome man, right? But that person's trouble was in their tongue, right? And the person's just always moaning and complaining and groaning about the misery they're in. I'd have a circle of friends who would get together once a week just to complain about their marriage situation, right? I try to tell them, half or 2/3 of the problem is you. But I try to be gentle about it. You take people step by step. But, so this is the other thing to look for. And in that, one of the common things people make is they just say, well, yes, I want her to be righteous and this and that. But they'll reduce all that to a convenient symbol. What does religiosity for sisters mean? For most brothers who are looking to get married? Hijab. That's it. That's deen. Yeah? Ad-deenul hijab. Right? That's it. Oops. That's very, very convenient. Right? Very convenient. For a brother, well, he has a beard. I've heard it something. Or he has facial hair. That's sort of the more expansive thing. Right? That's it, right? That's it, right? And that's just kidding oneself, right? So look carefully as to what you're looking for in a spouse. And then what happens, sometimes people say, well, I wanted that, but my parents forced me. Okay? And you have to understand very clearly, whether you're a man or a woman, you have every right to refuse to be married to someone who is not suitable for you. Particularly for religious grounds. Doesn't matter how much your parents insist that you married Zubair. If he doesn't pray, don't marry him. Simple as that. Right? Imam Shafi'i was asked, who is the safih? Who is the fool? And he said, as-safih man la yusalli. The fool is the one who does not pray. I said, well, he start praying once we marry. If he cared, he start praying now. Now let's say you love Jamil. Tell him, okay, look, shape up for 6 months, and then we'll talk. Right? And in the 6 months, please don't talk to him. Right? Right? And then if he fixes himself up, then that's different, right? And get some scouting reports on him too, right? Without spying, right? Sometimes sisters are amazing, subhanAllah. Like, when it comes to marriage issues, they are so technologically adept. There's a sister that I'd worked on some projects, couldn't even get her to add, events to her personal calendar. She'd always end up with missing meetings. It was very annoying when trying to work with someone. But she couldn't figure it out, and it's not that difficult, right? You get someone to coach her through it, that didn't work. But she was doubting her husband, so she installed some kind of spyware on his computer. After hacking into his system, he had a 16-letter password, which she figured out somehow. And she installed this spyware that sent her immediate updates any time he went to an inappropriate site. Or if he emailed a woman. I don't know how this spyware program figured this out. And it messaged her all this information. And it sent text messages. And I was like, oh my goodness. But people do all these kinds of things. So be honest with yourself as to what you're looking for, right? In a spouse. And if someone who's not suitable is being thrust down your throat, just close your mouth, right? Do not accept. Right? Certain things be willing to give in. Your ideal was to marry someone born in the British Isles, but they want you to marry someone you're from rural Gujarat. They want you to marry someone from rural Gujarat, but he seems, be open-minded. Maybe he's maybe, he grew up in Canada, then went back to rural Gujarat. Maybe he does know English, so you'll be able to actually talk to your husband, right? And, you find out more, mashallah, seems a sensible guy. So, be open-minded, listen, see what your parents are suggesting, don't dismiss it outright. But then you find out he's not suitable, doesn't matter. Mother says, I'm going to commit suicide if you don't marry him. Trust me, she probably won't. She probably won't, right? Like, respond in the right way. Don't ever argue with your parents. Never get angry with them. Don't even be annoyed. They say it's like trench warfare, right? If you want to refuse marrying someone, or if you want to marry someone, and your parents are refusing for unreasonable reasons, don't fight them. Rather, go into a state of trench warfare. And this, in America, I have to explain it to them, because they didn't experience trench warfare, but you guys were stuck in the trenches for many years, right? Basically, you have to stake your position. I am not marrying him. And just stay under the ground. They'll provoke you, but never go over the top. And if you've seen Blackadder Goes Forth, you'll know what we're talking about, right? Just stay down there. Keep yourself busy. Keep smiling. Just pretend your mother's singing a nursery rhyme when she's telling you why you have to marry him. Just shake your head. And then change the topic. Yeah? Ask her, should I, what are we cooking for the family get-together on Saturday? Change, whatever else. But you have a right to refuse. But don't fight with them.